Alright, it's time to cut the soap. And as I said, we're totally in experimental phase. Kimberly is learning how to make cold process soap and giving you a recipe and testing this recipe and seeing if it is the most wonderful recipe in the whole wide world. And right now we're playing with, as you know, the hot lye method. So the first soap that I'm going to do, and this soap I'm going to do in this video series, is our lard soap. So first I'm going to bring it over there and let you see it. We didn't do any fancy top, and I even considered the fact that I might not have took the stick blender long enough to this particular soap. I know cold process soapers have to bring things to trace. I didn't bring this to trace, so let's see if that affected this product. Remember, we're having to wear gloves because this soap is dangerous. It is still lye active. And I'm using my Essential Depot cutter. I loosened the screws so that my cutter would lay completely over out of the way when I wanted it to. And of course, this is the Essential Depot basket that holds the mold and keeps it stabilized. And this is one of the trays that Essential Depot sell. As you can see, it has great ventilation. It has inserts where they stack on top of each other. And it has wheels on the very bottom when you buy. It has wheels so you can roll it around. It's quite awesome. Alright, so now I'm just going to take our soap and I'm going to pull and pull. And it has been 24 hours. I'm going to take the heels of my hands and lightly press, and just as an observation, the hot process soap comes out easier than that did. Of course, this is the Essential Depot silicone mold that fits perfectly in the basket. Alright, so, and cold process soap is very, very soft at this stage. You have to be really careful about getting fingerprints in it, damaging it with rough handling. It seems to be fine, so we will see. So now I'm going to place it in the Essential Depot cutter. This is the one that was made specifically for these molds. And looks like soap. And I let it touch my nose. I guess I shouldn't have done that. Uh-oh. I'm used to hot process soap, guys, but if I can do it, you can do it. We're gonna make some cold process soap. Okay, so now I'm gonna take very gently. This is not like hot process soap where you can be rough with it. You have to be very gentle. So I'm gonna take the side of my hand and I'm gonna lay it right on the cutter and gently push these bars forward, which separates them from the cutter. I don't know, it's like I got these new babies here. I'm sort of excited. They look quite nice. This is our grandma's old-fashioned lard soap. Lard, lye, and water. And I gave you the recipe, and I'm pretty excited. Look at that. Look what I did. And you know, this wasn't even hard. In the hot lye method, we're going to try the cold soaping cool, I think they call it, next. But you know, this was just pretty easy. My nose hasn't started stinging or anything, so I must have done pretty good. Alright. And so we are taking our bars, and if you'll notice, from the cutter, we have some little rough edges here and there. But once this has cured, you can take a potato peeler and lightly trim your edges if you would like perfection. And I'll show you this on another one. Hang on. You can also, if you can see the light thing, you can just take and lightly pat it, and that disappears. It's like a little fray from the cutting. And so you can take your hand and just basically, we're just dabbing the corners, and now we have a perfect shape. So I know I'm gonna get criticized, but I'm having fun, and if other people find this fun, I'm happy. And if you learn anything, I'm extravagantly happy. So I've made my first Grandma's old-fashioned lard soap cold process. I'm pretty proud of myself. Look at me arranging them all pretty. So here is our beautiful soap, and so let's get back to talking about this soap recipe. Okay, so with Grandma's old-fashioned lard soap, as I call it, we know that this was just water, lye, and lard. And as I said, I didn't bring this to trace. It doesn't seem to have affected it in any way, but that doesn't mean that the symptoms of that will not show up in the future. We'll just have to wait and see as these video series continue. Now, right now, I think I've touched myself with that soap right there, or maybe I'm just being, you know how you do when you think something might happen? Because I'm stinging a little bit right there, but I wiped. And I think it's going away, so I think it's just all in my head. But I know that I can't wash my hands with this, but I want you to know that. You can't wash your hands with this right now. But lard soap is supposed to be very conditioning, but it's not supposed to have a lot of bubble. And so I wanted to show you that with my gloves on while we could. You see, there's foam there to some degree, but we're not getting any bubble. But we're still being cleaned. This is cleaning us, okay? It's just that it does not have bubbles, and it's not as stripping and cleaning as some products can be, some soaps can be. When you're deciding what kind of soap that you would like to make, a lard soap is a very traditional soap. It's very moisturizing. But it's not very cleansing, and it's not bubbly. So you get cleaned, but you never feel stripped, and you just feel like you're sort of rubbing stuff on you to some degree. You don't feel, you don't have all this woo, bubbles, 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 tons of bubbles. You don't get any of that. Now, after this soap has cured a very long time, in other words, if you leave one of these bars of soap somewhere and you and a long time, and it gets really super dehydrated, because it will turn then to bubbly for some reason. I don't know why, but I found a really old bar that got left at the sink and then got set in a shelf, and pulled it out to wash my hands with it, and I had a lot more bubbles than when it was just a few months old, and that soap might have been a year old. So that's one thing for you to remember. We've got to wear our gloves, and we got to still be cautious, because this soap is dangerous at this point still. So now we're going to let this cure for 4 to 6 weeks. Lard makes a really hard bar, so I want you to still, you've got to wait at least 2.5 weeks before you use it to give the lye time to die. And it'll be tempting to want to go ahead and use it, but don't do it. And then, go ahead and give it its 4 to 6 weeks, just like any other bar. even though it seems like it's a little hard and it ought to go ahead and be done, probably hit the 4-week mark with no problem and you're ready to package. All right. Thank you so much for watching.